Okay, and there's heaps more information here. Okay, this is basically an introduction, which is quite long, so we're going to see if we can skip that. Okay, here's the symbols, and this is what they're saying. The symbols and signs book of hers is completely wrong. That she said, oh, it's relative, it's related to the Greeks and the Persian and all this sort of stuff. Okay. Okay, we're going to go back over here because this is something important for you Kemites, you Hebrew Israelites, to know. Okay, to verify that we, the New Zealand Maori, have these connections. We'll probably be more Assyrian or Hebrew or Egyptian than all these put together. Okay, here's the crest of the 12 nations in Assyria, were as follows. We'll go back over here. Mr. R.N. Salaman, discussing the inheritance of facial types before the same section, contended that the perfect Greek type of face was now to be found among people of Jewish blood. Examples of the straight line of foreheads, blah blah blah. It may be a useful conclusion to this chapter to summarise that the Maori traditions of their descent and migration. It may be a useful conclusion to this chapter to summarise the Maori traditions of their descent and migration. They hold that the truth of their legends is proved by the following system of crests and signs which were in use in the days of ancient Assyria and can still be traced wherever the Maori have been. The crests of the 12 nations in Assyria were as follows. Let's see if the native-born Aramaic speaking translator Victor N. Alexander can respond to this, or will respond to this. That the crest of the 12 nations in Assyria were as follows: 3 reptiles, Ngarara, crawling creatures, turtle, tuatara, eel, tuna, so it's not T-U-N-E, serpent, taniwha, 3 fishes, ika, swimming creatures, creatures of the water, mermaid, ika in this sense meaning an amphibian, whale, ika nui, because it's a giant fish, big fish, fish, ika iti, small fish, 3 beasts, kuri, it's a dog, land creature, lion, kuri, kajumana or toa, strong, brave animal, dog, kuri iti, long, narrow animal. So that's what it was in those 1800s, right, 1900s. It was kuri iti, long, narrow animal, bull or unicorn, kuri nui, a large horned animal, possibly rhinoceros, 3 birds, manu, dove or pigeon, manu karere, or ma, plover, manuka, the edible bird, eagle, and manu nui, the large bird. In addition to these crests, the Maori had the 3 signs of the house of Ihi, Ra, Iwi. Get that? Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, US Hebrew Israelites, and you UK Israelites. Ihi, Ra, Iwi, Israel, or the children of God. These signs were the sun, Ra, the moon, and the heavenly bodies, Te Aopo, and the earth, Te Papa. The sun was the divine creature, or creator, sorry. The moon was the great spirit, and the earth was the god of nature. So the Maori were like the children of the sun, the children of heaven, and the children of man. Okay, it's mythological. Call it pagan if you want, but it's mythological, right? It's one of their beliefs, just tradition systems. They believe in whatever, right? Myths, whatever. These 3 made the Trinity, represented by the 3 fingers seen on Maori carvings, indicating intellect, character, and physique. The different nations or houses were organised and reformed many times. Hence, where any considerable number of Maori migrated or established themselves, representatives of many different crests would be found. The sacred legends say that while many members of the House of the Bull went to Mexico, some dropped out while crossing Europe, and thus may have travelled even farther afield. That all the voyagers to New Zealand were members of one house is definitely proved by the fact that they all have the same crest, the turtle. As already stated, all the members of the 10 nations did not migrate from Assyria to Portugal and the West. Certain parties remained in the various countries through which the migrants passed, and subsequent migrations with the consequent intermarriages scattered those sections of the brown Maori, because one of these books it says brown, yellow, white Maori, right, went to different places in many directions, but The main body of each nation can be definitely traced by their crests and signs. The two nations which remained in Assyria were the mermaid and the plover. They had that crest, right? 10 nations migrating being the turtle. These are the ones that left. Right? The serpent, the eel, the fish, the whale, the lion, the dog, the bull, the dove, and the eagle. The 3 nations which fell out en route were the whale, the lion, and the eagle. It's the crest, right? They had these crests and these symbols, these signs. Leaving 5 nations to go to Mexico. The turtle, the fish, the dog, the bull, and the dove. To these must be added women from the eel and serpent nations. Of all these, as already mentioned, only the turtle, or arawa, there's a tribe in New Zealand called Te Arawa, iwi, right? Or the Ihiria nation reached New Zealand. The traditional descent of the Arawa Maori is from Ihaka, Isaac, who was the son of Aperahama, Abraham, and so they're from Ur of Chaldea, right? The son of Ihaka was Hakopa, Jacob, from whom came the 12 houses of Ihira Iwi. That's the Israelites. The word Iwi means literally the ribs of a house or of a man. Because if you look at the marae, the meeting house, that's what it basically looks like. The marae is on the left and the right, and the figure in the middle, etc., etc. That's what it's saying there. The word iwi means literally the ribs of a house or of a man, etc. Therefore, iwi means the people. Ihira is obviously Israel, and Ihira iwi is obviously the Israelites. Ra in Maori means the sun, or the sun god, or God, and Ihi in Maori means the origin or the source. Thus, the term Ihira iwi means the people of the sun god, or the people of God. The earthly country from which these people came was called Ihiria, Assyria, which is an abbreviation of Ihira iwi, an alternative spelling of Ihiria, insisted upon by some of the Maori nobles in Ihirai. Is that like Syria? Maybe? Not sure on that one. The following extract from Morris Fishberg's The Jews, a study of the race and environment, and his footnote, Contemporary Science Series, down the bottom here, throws an interesting light on this legend of the migration across Europe and the Assyrian origin. Historical evidence goes to show that there were already Jews in South Russia before the destruction of the temple. It's probably a temple in Jerusalem. This has been attested by inscriptions unearthed in various parts of the northern shore of the Black Sea. They are said to have come thither mostly from the Byzantine Empire and also from the Caucasus mountains, right? Mountain range. And in the latter country, they have been even before the present era, and have migrated from the Caucasus to South Russia, from these mountains, Caucasus region, to South Russia. This puts a completely different aspect on the question of the origin of the Jewish types met with in Eastern Europe. There remains yet to be described another group of Jews, the Karaites, or Karaites, who, though they are considerably only partly Jews, yet claim that they are the real descendants of the ancient Hebrews. These people are now found mostly in Russia, while small colonies are also found in Galicia, Turkey, and Egypt. There's probably a few in Israel as well. They are followers of pure Mosaism, the Mosaic law, etc., and do not consider the Talmud as authoritative. The founder of this sect was one Anan, who lived at the end of the 8th century. They were at first called Ananites, or Ananites, but later adopted the name Karaites. The New Zealand Maori also had the name Karaite, or Karaite, the Maori equivalent of our Christ, Karaite. Karaite, yeah, so that's how they say when you put together Karaite. The Maori equivalent of our Christ, Ihu Karaite, in Maori is Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's it. See, it's formed down the bottom here. Makes it easier to read when it's one word, right? Karaite, right? With the Christ. It will be useful to tabulate here the Maori schemes of historical reckoning, working on the system of jubilees of 50 years instead of the Great Generation system explained in page 3. Okay, from Assyria to Mexico, about, is it jubilees, 6 years, 300, etc., etc. From Mexico to Peru, and from Peru to New Zealand, and New Zealand, etc., etc. To this total must be added the 14 jubilees, or 700 years, reckoned by the Maori to have elapsed during their journey from Assyria to Egypt and back. The sacred legends cover this period in much the same way as the Hebrew scriptures, but the Maori believes that the translators and compilers of the Old Testament furnished inadequate calculations and histories for the period from the first man to Israel. It'd probably be Adam to Israel. And entirely omitted calculations, or left them out, or deliberately left them out, and histories for the period of evolution prior to the first man. That is for the period of the ancestral people and their progenitors. I guess that's those that came before them. The Maori sacred legends state that the period from Neo, the first man, to Hakopa, Jacob, was about 240 jubilees, 12,150 years. Prior to this, there were 3 stages of unknown length, which were briefly stated as follows. 1. From the first man back to the dog and the bird. 2. From the dog and the bird back to the fish and the serpent. Is that mythology? Mythical? 3. Or their mythos? 3. From the fish and serpent back to the reptile. The tuatara lizard was taken as representative of the reptile, the oldest stage, but it was not supposed that the tuatara was actually the first creature. Thus, the history of civilization, according to the Maori sacred legends, can be divided into 2 main eras. First man to Israel, years 12,150. Migration from Assyria to the present time, 6,630, and a total of 18,780. This is the Maori legends. That is, the Maori legends carry us back about 17,000 years BC, so far as civilization is concerned. Prior to civilization, the Maori scientists hypothetically estimated time as follows. Man back to dog and bird back to fish and serpent back to reptile, in all series approximately 120,000 years. During the first period, man developed himself from the dog and the bird. Is this saying like evolution type thing? Okay, this would be mythical. We're pretty sure that's mythical. During the first period, man developed himself from the dog and the bird. First came the development into a monkey. Okay, this is their mythical evolution, right? Passing through 8 stages, etc., etc. The hairy and the non-hairy, then came the development from the non-hairy monkey into a man who had no language and consequently no records. This unimproved man further developed himself for some thousands of years until the last civilization was born. The birth of civilization was the development of language and the recording of history by the first man. This is a Maori evolution by the sounds of it, but it could be true. You know? How would they know about evolution before Charles Darwin? The birth of civilization was the development of language and the recording of history by the first man. That is, the first man is really the first civilized man. The first civilized man. The date of the birth of civilization in the Maori sacred legends is reckoned approximately 18,000 to 20,000 years ago, and the place was Assyria. These ancient Maori calculations may be usefully compared with the table published in the Outline of History by H.G. Wells, science fiction writer, The Time Machine, all those other ones, right? Okay, here it is here. Compare them. BC 18,000, Europe steppe period. There's monuments and all that sort of stuff. Egypt, Mesopotamia, men entering upon Neolithic stage, agricultural beginning. Reindeer men going. It's all here, look. Okay. Down to 1920, Christian era. Okay. It's all there. According to the Maori sacred legends, the pyramids were built about 4,400 BC. So why was this tohunga, this chief, not allowed to reveal those sacred texts? Those sacred secrets, right? That's something to ponder over, Maori people, because they didn't want them to know for some reason. What consequence would they get for not sharing it if they knew that, right? That's where they originally originated from. And then they put out these stories, we came from Hawaiiki, a mythical place. Were they trying to throw off people so they would never know where they really came from? Because maybe persecution followed them wherever they went, because they maybe at first they said we are, you're of them, are you? Okay, we're going to give you hell, that sort of stuff. Maybe it was like that. What do you call it? Anti-Semitism in that period, right? Something like that, or anti whoever they were at that time, whether they're Assyrians or Israelites or whatever. Okay, migrating could be the problem like that, right? Okay, here's the prehistoric designs and Maori life symbols. These are ancient ones. Look at that. It's an Assyrian. That's a freaking Assyrian. Look at that. You go compare with all those images on, say, Google Image, etc., and that's an Assyrian. Okay? And there's all these symbols. Okay? And this probably would have been backed up as Libyan as well. Tunisian and Libyan, Spanish and Brazilian, Mexican. Would have been backed up by that Tohunga, witch doctor, shaman, how Europeans understand it. Okay? And a chief. Okay? Probably would have been backed up. The stories from the sacred secrets that he revealed probably was this Maori and Irish decorations, because apparently before the Maori came 800 years ago, whatever, before that period there was the Irish, the Celts, and they left their many blue symbols, spirals, etc. on these rocks, which was found by this I think it's an archaeologist or somebody like that, historian in New Zealand. He said, hey, these are Irish. So all those spirals that the Maori have is originally from the Irish. Okay, there's your tiki. Okay, these probably represent the punga fern and the small shoots, the curls, right? I'm not too sure on that one. They all have their meanings. Okay, and there's some people cooking. This looks like a rug, Irish decoration or something. Sacred decoration. What's this? Okay, here's all the symbols explained. Here's the decoration of Lindeen Stone and Gospels at Anglo-Irish. Compared design on top of 2 with the Libyan head. Probably that. Number 7 opposite. Oh, okay, number 7 opposite. 7. There you go. Anglo-Irish. That was the same. Libyan head with number 7, which is a Libyan head. Number 2. That's a Libyan. Where's the Libyan head? That's can't be it. Design of 2, on top of 2 with the Libyan head, number 7 opposite. Okay, so number 7. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So that's probably that. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to see. Not too sure. Pretty sure that's what he said. She said compare 2 with 7. Top of 2 with the Libyan head, number 7 opposite. Yeah, it must be that and that. Bodily pride. Although the New Zealand Maori took the utmost pride in his body and directed all his endeavours towards improving it and preserving his health and efficiency, his ambition was not so much to live to be fit as to be fit to live. He considered actual physiological life in all aspects as something to be enjoyed and valued, something to be improved and made the most of. To him, the earth was not a vale of tears, it was a happy hunting ground. By hunting ground is here meant searching, i.e. seeking improvement. So they were like the Bruce Lees of the Maori era. His body was indeed a supreme means of enjoyment. The denial of any normal healthy bodily appetite for the mere sake of denial was quite foreign to his ideas. The very notion of purposeless self-immolation was contrary to the Maori mind, but equally contrary, and it goes on and on. So yeah, they did certain things to stay fit, healthy, clean inwardly and outwardly. Yeah, they did a lot of dancing, huckers, etc, etc. So they had this bodily pride. But today, a lot of them have a slovenly pride because they've got bad habits, Too much McDonald's, too much Burger King, etc, etc. Race improvement by warfare. Food is medicine, so they don't just eat for the sake of it, they eat it for a very valid reason. Most of the staple foods of the Maori were of vegetable origin, so they're basically vegetarian. They had no animals for food, such as cows, sheep, horses or pigs, until the coming of the Europeans, because they introduced them, didn't they? The pouaka or the pig, and the sheep, the dog. Well, I'm not too sure about the dog. Yeah, they might have, I don't know. They had no animals for food, such as cows, sheep, horses or pigs, until the coming of the Europeans, or the Pākehā. Their flesh food consisted of rats, but the rats weren't like sewer rats in those days, and birds snared and cooked, at certain seasons only, when fat, fresh and smoked fish, eel, etc., sometimes eaten raw. Raw fish, yeah, not eel. Shellfish from the rocks, eaten raw. The liquor, fresh and uncooked, was relished. The liqueur, yeah, and so forth. Or lightly cooked by having boiling water thrown over them. Eels and whitebait, eaten cooked, and crayfish from the rivers and lake, usually eaten cooked, and lizards which were roasted. Wow, roast lizard. The principal vegetable foods were the sweet potato, the kumara, it's like a one they might have got from South America, and travelled down here with it, and the taro, which is an islander one, right? Pacific Island, root vegetable. Got the big ass leaves, we got them growing outside, and the leaves are like humongous, like a jungle. We don't know what to do with them because we're not from the islands. We have suggested to people who are islander, hey, how do you do this? What do we do with this? And they go, well, we'll be back tomorrow. Never came. That was about a year ago. But they just started growing really huge, like a jungle, you know. Generally steam roasted, sometimes boiled. Pumpkins grown mostly for the sake of the calabash vessel, and the so-called Maori cabbage, which would be better described as spinach. Hey, Maori cabbage. Pico, and pua. Pico, maybe that's the fern roots and all that sort of stuff. They're small shoots. Puha, it's like a watercress, right? It's like a watercress, water-based plant. It was originally supposed to be said as pufa, Puwh. The former consisting of the young shoots of a native tree fern. Yeah, that's pico. The former just read that. The latter a plant somewhat like a thistle. Yeah, might be like Scotch thistle, pretty close to that. The common pigweed. The Maori also use the soft succulent stem of the tea, the dwarf cabbage tree, which grows mostly in swampy land. Many berries found in the forest were eaten raw, others were boiled or roasted, then dried and eaten, just as we eat nuts. Fern root was also used very largely, sometimes peeled and eaten raw, but more often pounded between stones, then sun-dried and finally cooked slowly for a long time. This cooked fern root constituted the Maori bread. Ooh, real wonder bread. Maybe it's a different kind of bread. For there was no wheat or other cereal in New Zealand. Yeah, no Nutri-Grain, none of this Cocoa Pops. There was no wheat or other cereal in New Zealand, only the Indian corn or maize brought by the Maori from overseas. Food was regarded not only as the body's natural sustenance, but also as a natural corrective. So us Maori out there need to go back to this. Okay? Stop eating all those Ronald McCrap-Arnolds, right? And get back to the Maori diet. According to the Maori view, diet should be so regulated as to keep the bowels in proper working order. Yeah, you don't want into, what's that thing? Not involuntary bowel syndrome. Irritable. Yeah, it's not great. When anybody felt out of sorts, they said the inner man was unhealthy. Yeah, that's how we feel. You know, sometimes when we consume something, we feel like crap. We wonder why. Because we've had a coffee or we've had something, and you know, it's caused a distress or a disorder. You know, it's putting your body, your mind out of place. You feel like crap. Rest from food followed by exercise was necessary to put the inner man in good form again. See, these are secrets, Maori people. Yeah, lose all that flab. Get healthy. You know, put down the McDonald's and the Burger King and those large Cokes that are actually probably a mixture of fake sugar, sucral or something, and what's the other one? Pepsi. Okay, put the inner man in good form again. Pico, the young shoots of the native tree fern, and the liquor in which it was boiled had a loosening effect. Soften up your bowels there, bro. And was usually included in a daily diet. Yeah, so it made you regular. Puha, sow thistle or pigweed, was stronger in its action. Thus it was most suitably for those in good health. And it was not usually taken by sick folk, children or the elderly. Yeah, because it would make you probably do the opposite, you know, make you go toilet. I don't know. Invalids were fed with invalids. Yeah, Maori out there. When you go to the welfare and they say, oh, okay, you got a disability, so you're an invalid. What they're really saying to you is you're invalid. You can't get a job. You can't work, right? That's what they label you as. But under the radar, they're saying nicely, you're invalid. You're actually invalid. Yeah, nobody is going to be able to employ you because you have a disability or handicap or whatever, right? Yeah, they didn't tell you that, did they? Invalids were fed with the broth in which fish or birds eaten by the community had been cooked, and they partook of the ordinary diet of piko. It may be remarked that all greens, such as piko and puha, were steamed in very little water, so that they cooked mostly in their own juices. Oh, sweet, so that's the secret. This liquor or juice was never thrown away, but was considered more beneficial and effective than the vegetables themselves. Yeah, look how much they are in the Mad Butcher. They were like, they're cheap as, now they're like about $15 a bunch. And you get it from other people at the flea market. They've got it out of a sewer, out of a dirty water, right? And they're selling it to you. Oh, very cheap, $1. You know, and you don't know where it's come from. And one day we saw them picking that out of this dirty creek, yeah, where the industry pumps all their crap, right? Oh man, I'm not buying that stuff from those dudes, you know. But some of them do grow it at home, grow different things at home, but they mostly get their puha or their watercress mainly from those dirty waters. Okay, so be careful on that one at the flea markets. Okay, so this juice of the puha was diluted with water, served as a wholesome and refreshing drink. Maori cabbage was steamed in calabashes. They're like containers, right? Probably made of some sort of plant, yeah, base or something like that. In the cooking ovens, or hangi, right? Yeah, and so forth. After the coming of the Europeans, particularly after the release of pigs by Captain Cook and the introduction at the later date of sheep and cattle, the civilized belief in the transference of strength by eating the flesh of animals was accepted by the Maori. It should, however, be clearly understood that cannibalism was not resorted to for dietetic purposes, nor was it a general practice. Rather was it a religious ceremony, whereby wisdom, strength and courage were acquired. The flesh of the slaves was never to be eaten, nor that of members of the same tribe, and the common people were not to participate in the ceremony. The king and his nobles alone were to make or partake of human flesh, and that only of enemies of high rank to get their power, right? And conspicuous valour. They were brave, so yeah, we'll chew on their heart, whatever, you know, with demands, and we'll get strong like they were, right? The parts mentioned in the legend as being of special virtue were the eyes, brains and heart. It is recorded that a certain king rejected one of his enemy's eyes because it was blind. His enemy was blind, right? The heavy bones of the slain were used as battle weapons, each bone being inscribed with the identity mark of the enemy to whom it had belonged. Heads were preserved as heirlooms. Human hair or the scalp was formerly worn as decoration. It will have been observed that the dietary customs of the Maori were similar to those now being recommended by the highest European medical authorities, who contended that the human body is more efficiently maintained on a primarily vegetable diet, occasionally diversified with fresh fish and birds. Maybe a bit of chicken now and again, eh? Yeah, we tried these different diets, these European diets. I was like, oh mate, after a week or so we crave for a frickin' chicken, you know? Munch out on a whole chicken. The latest medical teaching in regard to intestinal health is on much the same lines as that of the Maori in regard to the regulation of the health by means of diet rather than by drugs. So get off your drugs, peoples. Get off the McDonald's, get off that rubbish and return to your Maori diet, right? Your traditional diet. Don't say you're Maori this and you're Maori that and you're not even, well, you probably don't know, following that ancient, you know, diet. Your kaumatuas, your ancestors' diet, right? In ancient times, the Maori had only 2 meals in the day. The first about a couple of hours after rising, and the second one in the early evening. At midday, they had only a snack, usually some dried fern root, with a drink of cabbage water, accurately described as herbal beer. Okay, well, we don't have cabbage outside. There's cabbage trees, and we don't have this herbal beer. Okay, the barrels were empty the first thing in the morning. Again, after the midday snack, the herbal beer facilitated this. It brought it on, right? After the evening meal, and etc., etc. Fish might be eaten in the morning, or vegetables at the evening meal. Birds occasionally formed the staple dish, or the meal might consist of fish, cabbage, and fern root. Fish and birds were not eaten every day. Cabbage, sweet potatoes, and fern root were the most usual articles of diet. Ooh, sounds like a boil-up. The latest medical opinion confirms the Maori view that 3 soft motions, you know, go toilet, a day after desirable a day are desirable to keep the body in health. To the Maori mind, hard whoops, indicated grave sickness, a condition requiring abstinence and change of diet. On the other hand, excessive looseness showed that too much cabbage or herbal beer had been taken, and these dietetic errors were corrected properly. Thus, by varying the quantity and nature of the different foods and drinks, a natural and regular habit of body was induced. Any sign of irregularity was considered an indication of ill health. Yeah, that's how we feel. Something wrong with you, I consume that and I feel like crap. Because of that thing, I feel like crap. And I keep doing it. And I still feel like crap. Right? Now I have water and I feel way better. Like it's flushed it out, right? And I go back to eating that crap and I feel like crap again. And so on. Okay, they're immediately taken to remedy the condition. There is an interesting native story which illustrates the fact that in Maori life, evacuation of the bowels was considered a normal happening to follow a meal. A Maori planned to murder another who was, he considered, standing in the way of his obtaining a chieftainship. The murderer's wife ascertained the victim's exact meal hour, and from the hour of his visiting the latrine was calculated. There he was met and murdered at the anticipated hour. Wow, all planned, eh? An example of, because then he probably make good eating, better eating, okay? Because he's empty of all the things he ate. If he ate, maybe he ate a bird or something like that. An example of the Maori appreciation of the necessity and benefit of internal cleanliness was given in the Great War when a European medical officer contrasted the absence of varicose veins among the Maori soldiers with the frequency among the European troops. He suggested that the trouble was caused in the Europeans by the much heavier loads they were obliged to carry, their packs probably here. But a Maori noble rejoined, no, it is not the load the Europeans carry on their backs that causes the varicose veins, but the load they carry in their bowels. I think it was Vietnam. A lot of those American soldiers were found to be underage, like 18, whatever, to the 20s, and they had 5 to 50 or something pounds of undigested red meat in their bowels when they died. Wow. Hygiene and sanitation. The ambition of the Maori men was to grow big and fine, handsome, strong and healthy. Hey, that's us. Thus only could they be sure of gaining the greatest reward for life, health, etc., etc. It goes more into that. There's a Maori stockade, an old village. Still hygiene and sanitation. Clothing and sunlight. Clothes designed to protect them from wind, rain and the elements. Physical exercise. So they weren't sitting around getting fat. Weren't becoming hippopotamuses. Social organisation, religion and race selection. In battle, the Maori was overcoming sin, defeating the sinful, stamping out wrong. There was no such thing as purposeless fighting. Victory was the reward of innocence and right. Defeat the punishment of guilt and sin. Similarly, an injury to one was regarded as an injury to all. For example, to monopolise the fruits of the earth was obviously sinful because it injured the community. Obviously, it was equally sinful to deprive any individual of his natural share of those fruits. In the same way, it would be detrimental to the community not to have the ownership of land vested in itself. Common ownership of land was therefore right. Individual ownership was wrong. The individual was regarded as having a right to his natural share of all the necessaries of life. Sunlight, air, food or shelter. Therefore, all these things were owned in common and shared by all. They were created for the benefit of all, etc., etc. So, Maori people out there, this is the answer to your homelessness, your lack, having no food, all that sort of stuff. You got to get up off your nono, right, and start getting off the drugs, the alcohols, the crack, the glues, whatever, and ump yourself up, get physical, lose weight, muscle up, get fit, right? Eat the traditional diet, your ancestral forefathers' diet, etc., etc. What does that say? No Maori was an individual. Simply an individual. He was always a member of the community. See, that's the problem out there. We're all separated. We're all fighting over this and that. You know, what you can get, what you can scrape up, what the white man's crumbs or that charity, whatever. You know, you're all relying on that. You're not self-dependent, independent, non-dependent. You know, you've got into the sedentary life. There's heaps more information here. All from your ancestral forefathers, your kaumatuas. Okay, etc., etc. So come and read this book, work it out, and then live it, practice it and live it. That'd be great, huh? If all of us people had that one mind, you know, go back to the ancestral diet, exercise, lose the weight, you know, get healthy, don't be dependent on those medical drugs or whatever, you know. Your doctors. I mean, some people need those, you know, like, you got a flu or something like that. You know, that sort of thing.